Hi, everyone. You're listening to Bug Talk, a podcast created by members of the Entomology Department at Michigan State University. In today's podcast, I'm talking to two entomologists, Austin and Nate. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
So welcome to the Bug Talk. And I forgot to introduce myself as usual. My name is Sophia, and I will be the host today. And first of all, before we get going, I wanted to ask, let's start with Austin. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, well, my name is Austin Eschador, and I'm a senior undergraduate student. I'm majoring in entomology, and I have minors in leadership and public policy. I'm also president of MSU Bug Club.
And where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Hudson, Michigan. It's a very small town close to the Ohio border.
Oh, very cool. Nate, how about you? Why don't you introduce yourself next?
Hi, I'm Nate Howder. I'm a sophomore entomology and zoology major at MSU. I am the vice president of MSU Bug Club.
Very cool. And you're from?
Arlington, Virginia.
Oh, long ways from home. So maybe, and you mentioned, Nate, that you're the president of Bug Club, and our conversation today is going to be centered around the MSU Bug Club. But before we get started with that, I also wanted to know what got you guys interested in entomology? What brought you to this small world of ours? Why don't we start with you, Nate?
You should probably start with Austin first, since she's the president.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're the vice president, right?
I'm the vice president,
Sorry.
correct.
I promoted you unwillfully. Austin, President Austin, please tell us why you're into entomology.
Oh, okay. I was always really passionate about the environment, outdoors, nature, that sort of thing. Growing up in a very rural area, I had great access to the outdoors. When I was in middle school, I competed in the entomology event for Science Olympiad. And so I had to memorize all the Latin names for insect orders and whatnot. I kind of forgot about it in high school and still wanted to pursue something biology related. But when I came to Michigan State, I met with our advisor, Dr. Amanda Lorenz, and she showed me all the cool opportunities that were available in our entomology department. And I figured it was the best fit for me.
Cool. So it sounds like you got your start earlier before you came to MSU in middle school. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And was it like teachers and mentors that got you going, or do you think it was something more deep inside you?
I actually got entomology tutoring when I was in middle school.
No way. I never heard of that.
With Science Olympiad, you have to take these really difficult tests in these like almost random subject areas in science. And so when I was thrown into entomology, the coach of the team, which is my middle school science teacher, didn't really know much about entomology. And so he set me up with some students at Hillsdale College. And so me and my one teammate would go to Hillsdale College like twice a week to get tutoring in entomology from students who had taken an entomology class there.
Wow. That's very, very cool. So Nate, do you want to tell us how you got started in entomology?
Sure, absolutely. I've been very into bugs since I was very little. I didn't grow up in a rural area, but my yard had like rocks and bits of wood and whatnot that you could lift up and find like isopods, roly-polies, whatnot. And then as I got older, I sort of lost that interest in bugs quite a bit. And I ended up focusing more in invertebrates. And I thought that I was going to specialize in something related to ornithology. I thought I was going to get really into like birds. And it really happened in high school. I took an animal science class and they raised cockroaches to feed to the lizards there. And so I started raising cockroaches to feed to my lizard. And I realized that I honestly liked that a lot more than working with vertebrates. And from there, it just sort of became a passion of mine again. And that's ended up being what I wanted to do.
Do you still have cockroaches?
I do, yeah. I have dubia roaches, and more recently, I've gotten hissing cockroaches and orange-headed roaches.
Very cool. All right, so maybe we should get started talking about Bug Club now. Austin, I guess being the president, why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of Bug Club?
So I switched to being an entomology major halfway through my freshman year. So that was about like January of 2019. And then with that, I joined Bug Club. It was a really small and super casual organization. It was just like really a bunch of entomology majors who just met in the bug house once a month and ate pizza and just kind of like hung out. But then after 2020 hit, it was very difficult for us to kind of continue after everything was moved remotely. All of like the leadership ended up graduating, and then Bug Club just kind of like dissolved. And so I sent Dr. Amanda Lorenz an email saying, "Hey, Bug Club's not really a thing anymore. Can I just like take it over?" And she's like, "Yeah, do whatever you want." So I took over Bug Club as sort of like a dictator, and I recruited a volunteer e-board, which is our e-board that's here today. And I really did like a huge overhaul on the organization. So before, it used to be like a couple entomology majors and super casual. We didn't really do many activities, and now it's completely different. Most of our members are not affiliated with entomology or even like the sciences. They're just people who are interested in bugs or learning more about bugs. We have people from like humanities majors, engineering, and all of that, even though most of us on the e-board still are involved in entomology. And then we have lots of different activities that we plan for this year, which was a huge change from just, casual talking.
Maybe let's save the activities for a little bit here, but I wanted to dig into a few things that you were just explaining. So Bug Club is targeted at undergraduates, right? At MSU. Those are the members.
Yep, we are open to graduate all Michigan State University students, graduate and undergraduate, are welcome to join. But we're really targeting undergraduate students.
Mm-hmm. And you said that you were meeting once a month in the Bug House. Is that right?
Yep.
So maybe I don't think we ever had a bug talk about the Bug House, which is something that we should remedy here soon. But maybe tell people about the Bug House.
Yeah. So many of us who are on the aid board, including Nate and myself, are volunteers at the MSU Bug House. The Bug House is located on the first floor of the Natural Sciences building, and we do tours of the Bug House. We have lots of organizations come in, especially like classes, high school, middle school, elementary school. We have like Boy Scout troops and Girl Scout troops and homeschool troops come in, and we just tell them about bugs. The tours generally undergo the format of showing them a little PowerPoint about the different like parts of the insect's body and how many insects we have in the world. And then we kind of transition to handling and holding the live insects that we have at the Bug House. And a lot of the work that we do there is helping people overcome their misconceptions and fears of insects.
Mm-hmm. Nate, are you involved in these Bug House tours as well?
I am also involved in those, yes. I haven't had as much experience with it because it's something that has not been able to happen as commonly after COVID, but it is still really cool when we can get people in there and just show them around.
Do you still have live insects in there since
we do.
COVID
we have
hit?
a lot. We have a lot of different species.
Okay, that's good to know. And are the in-face tours back now, or is it still online?
We do have in-person tours now. I think once a month on a Monday, we have an open house, and then a lot of smaller classes have gotten tours as well.
Do you get a
occasionally over the
lot
last
of
semester.
activity around the holidays then? It's usually
I honestly don't know what we have around like the winter holidays. I know we had an open house for Halloween, which had a lot of attendance.
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess as we're going forward in time and safety is of concern, keep an eye on the Bug House tours if you're interested in participating in that. And we welcome anybody and everybody there to learn about insects, whether they want to take a tour or whether they just want to stop by. It used to be open on Mondays in the evening. Is that still the case?
It's certain Mondays, yeah,
Certain Mondays? Okay. It must be up on the website, I'm assuming, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I'll try to link to that in the show notes. So going back to Bug Club, Austin, you started talking about your activities and I cut you off very rudely. So why don't we go back to that and talk about what your activities were since you took over or even before? What are the kinds of things that Bug Club does?
So now Bug Club tries to meet at least twice a month. So every other week we have a full Bug Club meeting. And we've had so many amazing activities that the e-board has worked incredibly hard to accomplish. Just to list the ones off that we've had this past fall semester. Our first meeting, we had a big tour of the bug house, so helping people handle the different arthropods that we have there. And we also had a really fun Kahoot quiz, testing everyone's knowledge about insects coming in. The next activity we had is we had a little collecting trip on campus. So we got all of our insect collecting gear together. We borrowed nets and bags and coolers and stuff and taught everyone basic insect collecting techniques. And they got to practice them. And that at our following meeting, we had a pinning workshop. And so we put together this really cool PowerPoint about how to pin insects and how to spread them and how to identify them too. And so people are able to pin the insects that they caught and take them home. After that, we had bug bingo, which is probably one of our best meetings that we had the entire semester. And I think Nate should talk more about that.
Bug bingo was a challenge to put together. What we basically did is we had 20 custom bingo boards and we constructed them with poster board and then Velcro attaching these individual squares onto that poster board so we could shuffle them around. Now, each of these squares had a particular picture of an insect on it, which we had to find and then assemble and print out and then laminate so they could all be put together into these boards. And then what we did is we had a presentation like going over some of the common insect orders. And we had a bingo game where people had to look at the pictures on their board and be able to ID the insects on it so that they could match it with an order that was called out. It was one of our more attended meetings, and I think it was a pretty big success. And it felt really good to put that amount of effort into something and have it really just work.
Yeah, it reminds me of a game that I put together once. It was, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the game, but it's also like it's up on the board and you have different amounts for like, it's in real life, it's for dollars. So like 100, 200, 300 as you go down the board, and you can ask, a topic area for 100, and then the question is revealed and you have to answer that question, and whoever earns the most money or makes the most points or whatever between like two teams is the one that wins. So yeah, that's the one that this reminded me of. So anyway, that sounds fun. And are you also planning other games as well? I know that we have some graduate students in the department that design games, and I didn't know if you were thinking about getting into more games.
It really depends on our schedule for next semester. I know that some of the graduate students came into Dr. Lorenz's Ent 205 class, which I am a ULA for, and showed their game that they've been working on. And Dr. Lorenz and I were interested in perhaps using that for Bug Club, but we weren't 100% certain on what our schedule would be.
Cool. All right, so back to you, Austin. What else are you guys doing in Bug Club?
We actually did play another game at a different meeting. We had a meeting that was pretty close to the Thanksgiving break, and we decided to run a virtual meeting, which was a change because all the rest of ours were in person. And with that meeting, we played Arthropod Pictionary.
Nice.
We found a Pictionary site online, and Nate came up with a list of all these custom words to plug into the Pictionary. And so he put in a ton of words like butterfly, predation, mimicry, and a lot of other like
Mhm.
insect related terms. And then we did it online and everyone played Pictionary and it was really fun.
Cool. Do you guys have teams, or this is all individuals playing against other individuals?
All of the stuff we've done so far has just been individuals.
Hmm.
It's very low stakes, no real competition.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's not really a big thing where people are really competing. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's really cool to get used to all these different more scientific terms too.
Hmm.
And it was a very good educational opportunity with the Pictionary too, that people had to tell like the difference between like a centipede and a millipede when they were drawing their pictures, how many legs per body segment were they putting on there. And especially with the bug bingo that we were talking about previously, when we were calling out the names for insects, we called out like the scientific names of like the orders. Like everyone had to recognize that Coleoptera meant beetles. We didn't just say beetles. And it made entomology seem less alien to other people. And even though they weren't in entomology majors, they were a bit more familiar with the terms, which gives people a greater appreciation for insects.
Yeah, when
Sure.
we did bug bingo, we made like cheat sheets to start, which had like the order name, the common name, and like some information about it. And then we challenged people to not use those cheat sheets as we went further. And by the end, pretty much everyone who was there like understood what they were doing and understood like this order means this kind of insect. And I was genuinely really impressed that like it worked super well. People got familiar with how to identify, all these
Hmm.
major orders.
Cool. Um, so I kind of want to talk about who are the members, like what kind of people are interested in the things that you guys are doing. But before we do that, I saw on your list, Austin, that you shared with me entomophagy. So let's talk about that. I'm super interested in that.
It was our final meeting of the semester. And that was another very well attended meeting, and it was super fun. And it was probably one of our second most difficult meetings to plan.
I imagine.
So Nate here ended up making a very good informative PowerPoint that we showed everyone. I don't know if you want to dive into that a little.
Sure, yeah, I can talk about it. So we just really wanted to present like eating insects as a normal thing, as something that you can just do.
Yeah.
And we didn't want it to be like sort of a challenge. We didn't want it to be scary for people. And so the whole presentation, I think, took a very positive look at the benefits to eating insects and how it's really normal in most of the world. And then at the end of the meeting, we actually tried a bunch of the insects. We ordered like some grasshoppers, some various dried larvae, and then also some products that have like insect-based substances in them, like carmine dye, which is in a lot of candy.
Mhm.
And then because of COVID, we had to go outside in the cold and eat them because we didn't want to do that indoors. But it was still a super fun meeting, and I'm really happy with how it went.
I baked a lot of cookies too with the cricket flour.
Ah.
It was really cool to I passed around like the cricket flour that I use, and I was able to look at the ingredients list and see that it just listed crickets. It was just pure ground up crickets. And so I just poured that into like the normal cookie mix and made that and shared that with everyone in the club. And it was a big hit, especially with people who were even still a little bit apprehensive about trying insects because it didn't change the texture or flavor at all. And in hindsight, I probably should have called the cookies the chocolate chirp cookies, which is what one member said, versus the chocolate chip cookies because it has cricket powder. It's very funny. But yeah, that was a huge success and it was a lot of fun.
And you said that it didn't change the flavor.
Nope, it didn't change the flavor or texture at all. It was just a really
Interesting.
easy additive.
Cool. And so you said you had the cookies and you had dried crickets and dried larvae of some sort. And what else
We
did you guys
had
have?
we had the cookies, we had grasshoppers, we had various beetle larvae, So it was, I think, weevils
Were they like
and
flavored with anything, or they were
the
just dried?
grasshoppers were with like citrus, and that was
Uh,
pretty good. The larvae were not really flavored, and so they were not as good as the grasshoppers, but they were still not too bad.
they were
But we
plain,
also
huh?
had a couple kinds of candy, which include like insect-based products. So we had jelly beans, which actually the coating in jelly beans is shellac, which is produced from scale bugs.
Mhm.
And we also had, I can't remember which candy it was exactly, but it was some red candy that would have had a Carmen, which is another scale bug product.
Very cool. So was this, you said that this was before Thanksgiving?
No, this was after Thanksgiving. This was our final meeting.
Oh, I see. Would have been a really cool one to have around Halloween.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we did have a cool Halloween meeting too, though. For Halloween, we actually, as Bug Club, volunteered with the Bug House, and so we had to get ready for the Bug House tours that were coming up for our big Halloween event. And then us as Bug Club, we had all of our Bug Club members come in costume and stuff, and we all decorated the MSU Bug House with all the cool Halloween decorations, which really helped the Bug House a lot since we didn't have to deal with that then. And it was a really cool Halloween party.
What was at the party? Did you have food or people coming in? What did you do?
We had some pre-wrapped candy that we were able to give away to some people,
Mhm.
but we just kind of like hung out and talked like we used to, and we just decorated the bug house while listening to some spooky music, all in costume.
Nice. Um, do you have any presenters come to the book club to talk about specific topics ever?
We hope to. We didn't over the past semester, but in the past there have been guest
Mhm.
speakers, and we would like to have guest speakers in the future.
What kind of topics did they cover?
I know we had Dr. Bembo come in before, and that was when I was a part of Bug Club before COVID happened.
Mhm.
And he gave a really good presentation on forensic entomology. It was a very surreal experience sitting there eating pizza while I'm watching like the slideshow of like the most disgusting things ever of like bugs crawling out of like orifices of naked cadavers and stuff. And I'm just sitting there eating pizza with everyone like, yeah, okay, this is normal. Cool. We really hope to do that again. And that presentation that was given in Bug Club actually inspired me to take forensic entomology, which I'm enrolled in for this coming spring semester. Very excited about that.
Are you interested in it for a career, or this is just like a class that you're going to be taking?
I'm more with my career, I'm more oriented towards agriculture,
Mhm.
but it's just a really fun, it's gonna be a really fun and
Mhm.
enjoyable
Mhm.
class. And
Mhm.
as like a bug person, as an entomology major, we tend to get bombarded with a lot of questions about every single bug. So it's very good to have generalist knowledge, if not for the people around me who are
Mhm.
curious.
Mhm. Mhm. So maybe let's talk a little bit about who are the people that are in Bug Club. You already mentioned a few different majors that are part of the Bug Club, but how do you recruit people? How do you reach out to get people to become members, and how can people join?
So the main recruitment that we did this semester was just attendance participation. We had a list out that people could put their email on. And so at the beginning of the semester, we just created a whole long email list. And what that meant was that the people that joined us like really didn't have one particular background. There's not like one major that everybody's from or anything, which is different from how we've been historically, whereas it used to be just like entomology majors. Now it's everyone. There's all sorts of people there. We also have a Discord server for Bug Club, which a lot of people have joined either through other servers, such as the Herpetology Club, or through
Mm.
the general MSU like hub. Um, and that's really where we keep communication between everybody in the club, and that has been like super important for keeping people active, and it has been a really great thing to have.
Oh, that's really cool. So during the participation, you said that a lot of people joined. What was the reason? What was the hook that got them interested?
Well,
Oh,
we brought live bugs to participation, and that draws a lot of attention from a lot of people, regardless of whether they're really into bugs or not. People want to look at bugs. Bugs are cool. Like, even people who are afraid of bugs want to see bugs. And so we formed, a pretty big crowd around us, and people were interested, and we ended up getting like 200 and something like emails on our list. And that was just amazing for us because we had made it through like the last semester online, where we'd get a couple people joining every meeting. And just that huge turnaround was really amazing.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Austin?
it was a very successful event.
Sounds
Oh my
like.
gosh. It was a lot of fun too, but at no point was our table not surrounded by like people 5 feet deep. And like a lot of this, we were put in towards like all the like the STEM like major oriented booths, and so we saw like other clubs. They were like getting like a couple people to them, and then people were running towards our booth or running away from our booth, both of which attracted so much attention. And we were there with all of our live insects trying to like pull people in and talk to them. People were like pushing their friends towards us because they were like kind of afraid. We were a very noticeable booth. And yeah, bringing the live insects definitely attributed to all of our all the people who came to our meetings, because at our first meeting we had like almost 40 some people. We filled up the entire conference room that is on the third floor of the natural science building. But coming up, we also are participating in Springticipation, which is similar to Sparticipation, which is in the fall, but it's in the spring. And so that's going to be Wednesday, January 19th from 6 to 8. It's in the Duffy building. It's like right across from the Case Hall, and you guys should be able to catch our booth there with live insects and meet all of us in person. But to get involved too, you can find our Discord server. You can send us an email at msubugclub@gmail.com, or you can look us up on the RSO registration page, which is involved at state.msu.edu.
And I can include all those things in the show notes for people to look at if they didn't catch it right here. Do you guys also have a website?
We do not have a website yet, as we're just now starting to really get our footing and establishing ourselves as a club. There's still a lot of things that we have yet to do as an e-board, but we've made a lot of progress so far. And hopefully that would be coming soon. And when it does, we'd let you know.
Sounds great. What else do you guys have coming in the spring? You mentioned Springticipation, I think, and then what do you have planned for next year?
We're in the process. We're still in the process of planning a lot of our meetings, but I know for sure we're trying to get a field trip to Prusa's Pets in there, because Prusa's Pets has a very large arthropod section. Probably doing a collaboration with the MSU Herpetology Club, where we have like a kind of a joint combined meeting, hopefully involving feeding our insects to the different reptiles that they have there. Let's see, we're also trying to do an animal husbandry meeting where we're teaching people about how to have them as pets and take care of them, because that's a very common question we get asked. I think most of us and all of us on the e-board have different pet tarantulas or other like arthropods. And I know a lot of people get involved in Bug Club because they're interested in learning how to have those pets at home as well. And so I'd like to further that with their communication, and then hopefully trying to get another collecting trip in there towards the late end of the spring semester. But yeah, we'll keep you guys updated, and we'll have that full list coming out pretty soon.
Awesome. And are you still going to have your 2 monthly meetings going forward?
Yep.
And those are on certain days of the month, or how do those occur?
Currently, we're not 100% sure. We need to figure out our own schedules. For the past semester, they were every other Tuesday at 6. That may or may not be the time going forward.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stay tuned.
And then maybe let's mention who else is involved in the leadership of your group. Can you talk a little bit about your group?
Yeah. So I'm currently the president. Nate is the vice president. And then we have Claire, who's our outreach chairperson. And then she takes care of a lot of our social media. We're also on Instagram and Twitter. And she's doing a really good job at making those graphics. She also got us a graphic up on the first floor of the Natural Science Building on the big TV that's out there. She like helped organize and put that out there. Alyssa is our treasurer. And then we have Jonathan, who is our events coordinator, who's mostly in charge of making sure we have like all of our materials and like stuff together for our events. And then Dr. Amanda Lorenz is our faculty advisor.
And what's your handle on social media?
We are at Bug Club MSU, I believe, on our Instagram and Twitter.
All right, sounds great. I'll make sure to link to that. Are you guys pretty active on one or the other or both?
I think we're more active on Instagram.
Instagram.
The Twitter has
Okay.
not been updated in a little while.
Okay.
But through Instagram, you can find our Discord server where we are extremely active on. Everyone messages on there at least a couple of times a day, sharing like different like bug memes, news articles that we make comments on. And that's where we have most of our meeting announcements are through the Discord server.
My favorite thing to post there is just weird bug families that I haven't heard of before. I'll find a picture of one that somebody shared on Twitter, and then I'll post it in the Discord. And you know, there's a lot of really cool stuff that gets posted there.
What's a weird bug family, Nate, that you just
Oh goodness.
heard of? Shit, teach us something.
There's these millipedes. I need to check the name of them, but they look like pipe cleaners.
Oh wow.
Hold on. I need to check. Sorry.
I have a lot of house centipedes that kind of look like pipe cleaners. They just look like they are furry.
I think they're polyzenids. Hold on.
Cool.
Yeah, polyzened millipedes. They're really cute looking. They're really
Are they
funny.
tropical or something?
I'm not sure.
Wow. So anyway, if you're interested in all sorts arthropod related curiosities and foods and events and husbandry, I guess this is a one-stop shop for all of that. And so we encourage everybody to join the MSU Bug Club. Well, thank you so much, Austin and Nate, for joining me today. It's been a pleasure talking with you and hearing more about what you are involved in Bug Club. And we'll hopefully have you back sometime soon to update us on all the interesting things that you're doing. And yeah, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
All right, and thanks everyone for joining us today on Bug Talk, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.